Hey guys, it's Reagan, and you guys might know me from my Reagan Christine YouTube channel. Recently, I've been getting into podcasting. I just find it as a time to escape from reality and just to focus on myself for a little bit. And I just love giving advice to help others through situations and to help them piece the unknown together. So with that, I have decided to make my own podcast. I am going to be calling it Words from Reagan. These are just simple words that go a long way and help people in their own situations. And there will be a new podcast every Thursday. And every week there will be a new meaning. So every episode there will be a different topic we're going to be talking about. But the podcast will be rooted upon what we're going to talk about today, which is self-love, as well as just coming at peace with yourself and building a formation of you. So first, like I said, this podcast is going to be rooted upon self-love, and that's what I want to talk about today. Eventually, I feel like everybody will form a self-love, especially growing up between middle school and high school. You do realize you form this self-love, but everybody has different ideas of what self-love really means, and for those who do think they know what it means, they tend to not act upon it. So, what does self-love really mean? In the dictionary, it's defined as the regard for one's own well-being and happiness, and it's considered as desirable rather than narcissistic characteristics. So the very first wrong line people get in is when they look at others, and when they think of other self-love, they think that they're stuck up and they only care about themselves. And personally, my biggest pet peeve are these type of people. But there is a very, very, very firm boundary between stuck-up people and self-love. It's really fake love versus real self-love. And these stuck-up people, what we just talked about, are the narcissistic characteristics displayed in the definition I gave the dictionary. And these narcissists believe that they're better than others and won't acknowledge or take responsibility for their mistakes and flaws. These people tend to be stuck up and they don't really have self-love, but rather are nurtured through attention, which is fake self-love. They need others' attention and words to make them feel confident and whole. This may come from their upbringing or past trauma. Maybe they lost a friend or a relationship, and with that, maybe they take to social media, post it for attention, whether that's pictures of them or that they're really low in life and they need help. And if that's you, I call you to listen on your self-love journey and how to build this. Maybe this is the awakening call you've been waiting for. And this fake version of self-love that we just talked about is self-seeking, and it's all based upon what others think of you. It's all based upon attention. And this is the type of self-love you want. This doesn't make anyone who has this type of self-love any less than we are. If anything, a little bit more sympathetic, because we want them to form that real realization of what real self-love is and rather step away from this fake self-love. So with that, self-love is actually the complete opposite of what we just talked about. It is not caring what others think of you and actually disregarding that as a whole. And it's rather an appreciation for yourself. It's a journey, and along the way of finding your place and purpose here on earth through the ups and downs of being there for yourself. And it's with those up and downs that you learn, and that's where growth comes from, and this love is built from. Besides the love aspect of self-love, it's taking care of your own needs before anyone else's, saying no when tempted to say yes, stepping away from a toxic relationship, maybe pulling away from a friendship that leads you to the wrong path. Maybe it's also stepping away from a job opportunity to focus on you for a little. This is realization that you care for yourself and need to be there for yourself before anyone and anything. Self-love is different for everybody. Like, we've all heard the saying, everyone's different in their own ways. Everybody goes through things at different times and has different experiences, different levels of pain and hurt. And that's where self-love is an individual journey that we have with you and only you. So how do you get started on your self-love journey? You may already be on your journey or have been for a couple years like me, but for those who need some guidance or just here to find more ways of how to build this form of love, here's a few examples. The very first thing I'm going to give you is look at your past. Look at a past experience you've been through, maybe a heartbreak, something that caused you pain. Maybe somebody betrayed you, you lost a loved one. Look at you then and look at you now. If that was maybe even a week ago, maybe a couple of years ago, look at you then. Look at your physical health, your mental health, and then take a minute to look at your physical health and mental health right now. You then versus now. Do you see progress? Do you see that you're happier mentally? Do you see that you're a little bit more motivated? Were you down then, but you're happy now, and you use that as an awakening call to focus on you and stay true to you? And use that progress to start building this love. After that, create a routine. This is my biggest thing. Honestly, if I don't have a routine in life, I just feel lost. I feel like I don't belong. I feel like I don't have my life put together and just very out of place. So it's by prioritizing yourself and your time that you feel put together just on a daily routine. But as a whole life aspect, another way is building standards, and this is for everything, not just for relationships, but also for jobs and friendships as well. You want to be treated equal. Maybe for a relationship, it's a guy who's loyal and trustworthy, or a girl who's the same. Maybe friends, somebody who understands me and my interests, and we get along very well. And maybe it's for a job, it looks good on your resume, or it offers a good pay and you're treated well in a good work environment. And you want to build these standards early on in your self-love stages because it helps you build and remain back to your roots at all times. And these can be based upon, your past hurt, realizing you don't deserve this, realizing you deserve better, and just always remain by your standards, stay true to yourself, and that is the biggest piece of advice I could give anyone starting this self-love journey. And the last thing is, when making a mistake, or sometimes you go against your word, don't dog on yourself, forgive yourself, and move on. Don't sit there and say, I'm the worst person ever, I went against my word. We're all human, we make mistakes, but use it as a motive to say, I'm not going to do this again. I learned my lesson, and move on. Like I said, we're all human and we make mistakes. So forgive yourself. And some exercises that I feel will benefit you and actually show, again, like the actions portion of showing self-love, is maybe listening to a podcast. If you're listening to this, maybe you're wanting to just get away for a couple minutes, just be mindful, and are starting to form the self-love. It's just so good to take a couple minutes to focus on you. And that could be my podcast, maybe some you've been listening to for a couple years, or some more you're just starting to get into. Another thing is journaling, whether that's journaling to a podcast, journaling on your own time about your emotions, about your progress, or whatever it is. An exercise that I also really like is putting down my phone for a minute, stepping outside if it's sunny, or just taking a minute and a breath to myself, just to be present with myself and just to be grateful in life for a minute. We're on our phones a good portion of the day, always with us. It's basically a part of us at this point, and just being able to put it down for a minute and step away into the real world is just such a reminder that we're very grateful to be here, and again, the self-love portion of it as well. And maybe that's going to the gym for you, going for a walk, or maybe taking an evening to yourself. And as humans, our emotions, our physical health and mental health changes every hour and every day. And it's something that we have to accept no matter what. Things change, and you have to put your well-being first. For example, if you're sick and you have plans to go out and you're literally throwing up, you're not going to go out. So you rearrange plans so you can't go anymore even though you wanted to, but you're sick and you choose you first because you're literally not well. Think about the same when it comes to maybe depression. Maybe you just need some time to focus on you. You need to do some journaling, you need to do some podcasting. You're just taking a couple moments just to focus on you. Think about that. Put your well-being first because, like I said, your mental health, your emotions, your physical health changes honestly by the minute. So sometimes your plans change and you have to abide by your well-being. Now that we've talked about their journey through self-love, let's talk about how it needs to be carried out upon actions with relationships and staying true to yourself. This can go for anything, relationships, friendships, and jobs, like I've said. But let's talk about a healthy relationship real fast. So a healthy relationship is basically two people who have already at least started their self-love journey and are carrying that love through their partner. And it's basically two halves becoming a whole. In every relationship, you must carry your partner's word and give them reciprocity, but you also have to remain true to you as well. You're supposed to match your partner's energy and be there for them, but you also have to be there for you. A relationship isn't going to work if you aren't checking up on yourself, taking time to yourself, or even stepping away when necessary. You come first always. You will always be there for you when no one else is. Make sure you're choosing you over anyone. So when it comes to a relationship, if your partner isn't listening to your boundaries or standards and completely ignoring them, that's a warning sign and a red flag to let go of that person. Whether you've been dating that person for a couple months, maybe a year, maybe it's the starting phases of a relationship and you're really seeing that they aren't listening to your standards. You've told them you don't mess around. You've told them you want some extra time for yourself during the week and they're just not listening to it. That's a sign and red flag right there, and that should be enough just to walk away. As hard as it might be, like I said, your needs come first, and if someone wants to go against your word, knowing you have already expressed these quote-unquote rules you have, then they're not the right ones. I promise you, the right partner, guy or girl, will listen to you and show those through actions. They'll show their love towards you through your standards and actions as well. It's self-love you have for yourself to first express those rules to them, and then if not being shown back by your partner, then leave. It's really not worth the time and pain to be taking this step back in your self-love journey. You're bound to be in these situations like this time and time again. I personally have been in countless situations about this, and especially in today's situations, knowing a lot of people want you for one thing, and especially with social media, that's when you have to remain true to yourself and abide the hurt and choose you. Again, self-love is a journey. It takes time. You must be patient with it, but be grateful along the way for how far you've come. If you really think you haven't made any progress and it's been a month, look back at you in the past. Maybe you did just recently start the self-love journey and it's only been a week and you're looking at a week ago old you. But really take a minute just to think, when was the last time you were really, really hurt? Think further out than that week that you're building the self-love journey. Because self-love is formed not only when you're keeping a target on it, but I look back when I was even in middle school at certain situations and who I am now. You don't always have to keep in mind, like, yes, this is my self-love journey, but even in middle school or high school, when you were going through something and that was still your self-love journey, even when you didn't know it and you look back on it and it is. So use situations like those to know how far you've grown and that you are capable of becoming more. Through the breakups, the pain, trauma, tears, happy or sad, it's all growth at the end of the day, and it's a form of love. Never forget, in order to build love, you must act on it though. So when somebody abides by your word, a coworker, a partner, or even a friend, stay true to yourself and choose you. Think about how far you've come on your journey and how much of a setback it would be in that scenario. Choose you over anyone. Choose you over anyone. Remember those words. And remember why you mean them. When somebody thinks you sound selfish saying it, remember what those words really mean to you. And remember fake love versus real love. Fake self-love versus real self-love. So thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said, every Thursday there will be a new episode with a new topic. And I also do have my YouTube channel linked below, along with my Instagram and email. You can shoot me an email or Instagram DM if you guys want me to talk about a certain situation that you guys are going through or a certain topic you want me to touch on. And like I said, I will try and get to that and film a podcast about it. If you guys enjoyed, please give it a 5-star rating, share with somebody you think might need to hear this, and I will see you guys next Thursday with a new one. Goodbye, guys.